Undi yang bersetuju ialah 209, tidak hadir 11, maka lebih 2/3 undi majoriti yang bersetuju. Maka rang undang-undang ini dibacakan buat kali yang ketiga dan diluluskan sekarang.
Rang undang-undang bernama Suatu Akta untuk meminda Perlembagaan Persekutuan.
Terima kasih. Saya ingin mengucapkan syabas dan tahniah kepada semua ahli yang berhormat yang telah mencipta sejarah pada hari ini.
That was the moment the much-awaited anti-party hopping bill was passed at the Dewan Rakyat earlier this evening. My name is Cynthia Ng. More on that coming up. The Dewan Rakyat has unanimously passed the historic anti-hopping bill. 209 lawmakers voted in favour. 11 MPs were absent when the voting took place through a block vote.
The passing of the bill comes after debates yesterday and today involving 54 MPs. It passed the second and third reading today. Under the bill, any MP who leaves a political party in one coalition to join another, whether in the same coalition or different one, will lose their seat. There are exceptions to the rule, however, such as if the MP is sacked from a party, elected as Dewan Rakyat Speaker, or if the MP's party is dissolved or deregistered. The bill is one of the key conditions of the Memorandum of Understanding between the federal government and Pakatan Harapan.
Among the issues raised during the minister's winding-up speech was the matter of MPs' immediate expulsion from Dewan Rakyat if they defy party instructions when voting. However, this may not be the case for every party. Wan Junaidi explains why.
But here, in our law, unless it is stated in the constitution of the party to disallow a person to defy the arahan of their party, only then if his defiance caused the immediate expulsion from the party, then automatically he lost his seat as well.
There are still many issues surrounding the anti-party hopping bill that need to be ironed out. But political analyst Professor Dr. Siva Murugan Pandian says the bill is an important first step towards a better democracy.
I mean, it's a historical day for Malaysia. The act has been long waited to be passed, and with the two-third majority, it clearly indicates that the lawmakers must hold to the principles of the political parties and at the same time hold to the mandate given by the voters. I also believe that this is a way to restore back the confidence and also trust in elections. And definitely, this is a first step towards better democracy, better ways to look at anti-hopping bills. We can make it better when we look at the implementation later. When we start to implement, then we would be able to see whether we are giving absolute power to the political parties or it is the initiative taken by the lawmakers to make sure that they uphold to the mandate and also the trust given to them. At the same time, lawmakers must take the initiative to make sure that they do not abuse the position given to them, and they must also made to know that whatever position they hold is temporary. The people will always observe towards their act. And with the anti-hopping bill, I think this would allow us to use this as a mechanism to control the behavior and also the action taken by these lawmakers.
Indonesia has agreed to lift the freeze on its migrant workers to Malaysia effective August 1st. Human Resources Minister Datuk Sri M. Saravanan also said both countries would now integrate the existing system for the intake of domestic workers.
Saravanan and Indonesian Manpower Minister Ida Fauzia said the integrated recruitment system would be fully operational within 3 weeks. It will be handled by the Malaysian Immigration Department and the Indonesian Embassy in Kuala Lumpur. On July 13th, Indonesia imposed a temporary freeze on all its workers entering Malaysia, following a dispute over the system used for the recruitment of Indonesian maids. Indonesia claimed the continued use of the Made Online System MOS instead of the One Channel System OCS was a breach in the MOU signed between the countries. Saravanan explained that there was confusion over the matter, which led to the freeze of Indonesian labourers. Both ministers assured moving forward, the recruitment and employment of Indonesian domestic migrant workers will not go through any mechanism other than the OCS.
The Parliamentary Select Committee on Health has urged the government to postpone the implementation of the proposed Smoking and Tobacco Control Bill by 3 years. Committee Chairman Dr. Kelvin Yee said this would give the government more time to prepare and ensure the bill is effectively executed.
He maintained his support for the bill, which has been dubbed as a generational endgame. The Bandar Kuching MP, however, said it may be necessary to assess whether there is a need for a separate legislation for combustible and non-combustible tobacco products, as well as vapes. He also opposed calls for juveniles breaching the act to be faced with criminal punishment and imprisonment, adding that their offences should not be recorded in a system. He suggested for them to undergo community service, counselling and be meted a reasonable fine for first-time offenders. The Tobacco and Smoking Control Bill was tabled for first reading in the Dewan Rakyat yesterday. The bill seeks to prohibit the sale of cigarettes, tobacco and vape products to anyone born after 2007, with offenders facing a fine up to 5,000 ringgit.
Malaysia should consider granting double entry visas to foreign visitors in order to boost tourism. Tourism, Arts and Culture Minister Datuk Sri Nancy Shukri said the matter is currently being discussed with the Home Ministry. She said tourists entering the country were currently given single entry visas, which could be inconvenient if they wanted to travel around the region. Nancy said Malaysia's top tourist arrivals came from Singapore, followed by Thailand, the Philippines and India. She said tourist arrivals had already exceeded the ministry's target of 4.5 million, with more expected to come in once Brunei opens its land borders on August 1st. The Malaysian Competition Commission, MyCC, has completed its investigations into 20 chicken suppliers amid allegations of cartels causing poultry prices to soar. However, Domestic Trade and Consumer Affairs Minister Datuk Sri Alexander Nantalinggi says its findings cannot be revealed yet. He says the committee will announce the results to the public once it has fine-tuned its SOPs. Retail prices of chicken and eggs have been steadily rising this year. Reports have alleged that cartels were controlling the supply and market price of poultry in the country. We'll go for a quick break. Stay tuned. Welcome back. North Korea is ready to mobilize its nuclear war deterrent. Speaking at a Korean War anniversary event, its leader Kim Jong-un said the country was fully ready for any military confrontation with the U.S., drawing concerns that North Korea could be preparing a 7th nuclear test.
Kim claimed that U.S. imperialists are pushing South Korean authorities into a suicidal confrontation with his nation. The U.S. had warned last month that Pyongyang could conduct such a test at any time. North Korea's most recent nuclear test was in 2017. However, tensions have been rising on the Korean peninsula. The U.S. Special Representative to North Korea, Sung Kim, says North Korea has tested an unprecedented number of missiles this year, 31 compared to 25 in the whole of 2019, its last record-breaking year. In June, South Korea responded by launching 8 missiles of its own.
Australia today declared monkeypox as a disease incident of national significance. Now, this is to allow for a more coordinated response following the World Health Organization's declaration of a global health emergency over the disease.
Chief Medical Officer Paul Kelly said the National Incident Center was activated to enhance coordination across states and territories to manage the outbreak. 44 cases of monkeypox were reported in Australia, with most cases in returned international travelers. Last Saturday, WHO Director General Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus declared monkeypox a public health emergency of international concern. Tedros said most people need not be worried of monkeypox. Instead, the decision by the WHO is a way to prevent monkeypox from becoming a global crisis. Globally, 20,311 cases of monkeypox were detected in 71 countries that have not historically reported monkeypox cases.
Hundreds of aftershocks rattled northern Philippines following a 7.0 magnitude earthquake yesterday morning. 5 people were killed and more than 150 injured when the quake struck the lightly populated province of Abra.
The local seismological agency says more than 800 aftershocks have been recorded since the quake hit, including 24 that were strong enough to feel. Residents report aftershocks of every 15 to 20 minutes. Hundreds of buildings were damaged, roads were blocked by landslides, and power was knocked out in affected provinces. The powerful quake rippled across the country, shaking high-rise buildings hundreds of kilometers away in the capital, Manila. But in Abra, which felt the full force of the quake, overall damage had been minimal.
The UN Security Council condemns the killings of 4 activists by Myanmar's junta, the country's first execution in decades. The Security Council also called for the immediate release of ousted leader Aung San Suu Kyi. In a statement approved by all 15 members, the Council called for dialogue and reconciliation, an immediate halt to all violence, respect for human rights and full access to aid. The country's shadow government, National Unity Government, consisting of ousted Myanmar lawmakers, said it was time for the Council to take concrete actions against the junta. Meanwhile, the Group of 7 also condemned the execution of 4 pro-democracy activists in Myanmar and called on the ruling military to refrain from further arbitrary executions and to free all political prisoners. The military junta said it executed the activists for aiding terror acts by a civilian resistance movement and defended the action as justice for the people amid widespread international condemnation. Facebook parent company Meta recorded a quarterly drop in earnings, the first time in the company's history. Total revenue fell 1% to $28.8 billion in the second quarter, a bigger drop than analysts were expecting. Meta, that also owns Instagram and WhatsApp, was hit by a fall in advertising sales as it faces growing competition from TikTok. The company, which typically commands more than 20% of the global ad market, warned investors that ad sales were likely to fall again in the months ahead amid an economic downturn. Meta boss Mark Zuckerberg said the firm would reduce spending and slow its pace of hiring over the next year. The company is also planning to shift investment into new areas, including its virtual reality platform Horizon. There was, however, a silver lining in Meta's quarterly report. People are still using Facebook. The number of people logging on to the social network daily ticked up 3% to 1.97 billion, defying analysts' expectations of another decline. That is all we have for you on AWANI tonight. My name is Cynthia Ng. Thank you for watching and good night.